Hello and welcome to the Coach's Cup. I am Coach Judith Fender with the No BS Weight Loss Program.
And I am Coach Sonya Green from Sonya Green Coaching.
We are dovetailing nicely this afternoon to talk about kind of the ending where we left off, Sonya, when we were talking about busyness.
Yeah.
And when we were discussing that, we had just gotten to the point about relaxing. And so while we were doing a little research on that, we came across the definition of this Dutch phrase called Nixon. And Nixon is the art of doing nothing. Right? So we're just going to leave it right there.
A foreign concept, indeed.
Right, we're going to come back to that and why it's so important. So going back to the busyness part, when we talk about busyness, and goodness knows we've done like stress and the burnout and talking about this and anxiety. Mm-hmm. Clearly, if you are reading anything and you're living in the self-development world, we are all, getting the messaging that stress, anxiety, stress-related illnesses, all of these things are
burnout. Among, teacher burnout right now is just off the charts, but it's not just teachers. It's all kinds of people who are burning out.
Right.
Quiet quitting is the phrase of the day.
I heard about that like 2 weeks ago. One of my clients was telling me, I was like, what?
Yeah.
So with that said, this concept, I'm going to kind of roll this around into my vacation a couple of weeks ago, where this was the first time, that my husband and I had been away together, like on a vacation. I think we decided since 2018.
Oh, wow.
Right. I know, a file folder. This is 2022, in case anybody, we do the math on that. But where we like planned it last minute, we had no, let's just go to the beach. Let's just get a house, go to the beach and do nothing. Right. He works all the time. He takes care of his brother. He takes care of me. He takes care of many things, as do I. So both of us, we went on vacation and we did nothing. And I had my thoughts about I'm supposed to structure. I should have a vacation where I'm going to go to Europe and I'm going to go see this and this and this. It should be this way. And It ended up being one of the best vacations, certainly one of the most memorable. And we did absolutely nothing except get up and drink coffee and then go lay out on the beach all day and come back in and where are we going to eat? That was the highlight of the day.
Those are the kinds of problems I like to solve.
With that said, my vacation is going to help you remember how to practice the art. I'm going to call it an art.
I think so.
Of doing nothing. So we're always doing something, including when we're sleeping. Mm-hmm. And this makes me think about when, an article that I had read said something about, being a precursor. And we've talked about boredom before being the precursor to creativity. Mm-hmm. And how if we think of zooming out instead of zooming in, right? Mindfulness is about zooming in, getting really present, coming to the moment, where Nixon, my thoughts are that it's about zooming out, checking out in a way that has just letting the brain just kind of daydream and tell a little story.
Yeah. Do you know, this is so funny. Do you know when I remember daydreaming in my life?
School.
Yes.
Me too.
Yes. And you know what? We had no phones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My son, my 9-year-old, asked me the other day about how much time I was allowed to spend on technology when I was his age. And I was like, sweetheart, I know that this is really difficult for you to wrap your head around, but we didn't have computers or phones when I was your age. I mean, we had telephones, obviously, and I had a party line, so we had to take turns.
Sarah, get me.
Yeah, it wasn't like that, but honestly, I knew there was a certain time of day that there was an older lady up the road from us, and when it was time for a certain soap opera to come on, she was always on the line with her sister. They watched it together, so if I needed the phone at that time, I could just forget it.
It's so funny.
And so I had a lot of time to daydream in school, looking out the window, getting lost in my thoughts. I don't remember
Mhm.
I don't remember any recent time when I have let myself get lost in daydreams.
Seriously.
I can't think of any.
That, because there's part of me as I think about this, like a little timeline on this, like since COVID, I really have given up watching TV,
Yeah.
listen to news. I pretty much just live in self-development and
Mhm.
in YouTube or no BS land. That's where you're going to find me. But I think I daydream a lot.
Huh.
I'll check out
Mhm.
and it's like a little, and I think, I guess, been doing it intuitively, just letting my
Yeah.
versus, if there's a moment where I can just check out, stare out the window, probably been doing it because I have a lot of eye strain staring at the computer
Mhm.
all day. And so I do have a window to the right, which I'm looking out now that I can look out in the cow pasture. So I'll
Yeah.
like try to focus for a couple of minutes far away and then I'll just check out, just let it roll. And it's always interesting. And you know how and you come back and say, oh, that was a little vacation.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what keeps me from doing that because as you were talking about it, it hit me. Just like if I go on a walk, I'll listen to a podcast. Doing nothing would say you don't listen to anything. And I'm really good about turning everything off when I'm in the car and driving and letting that be focus time, but I'm never daydreaming. I'm always focused on an end goal. I'm thinking about a course that I'm creating right now. I'm thinking about I have a goal for my time.
Mhm.
And Nixon, this concept is not having any goals, releasing all goals, all distractions, and just seeing where your brain goes.
There's there's this two definitions inside of it. One is called soft fascination and one's called hard fascination. And soft fascination would be that the walk in nature, watching the waves roll.
Mhm.
Hard fascination would be like watching TV or listening to the podcast while you're out in the woods, right? That you
Uh-huh.
are not, you're still giving attention to something.
Yeah.
Whereas, and the more restorative state is giving your brain that opportunity to check out, I mean, it's,
Completely.
yeah, to check out. And all of a sudden, I'm feeling very excited about all my checkouts here lately. I want to make the connection that they aren't a bad thing because they do feel good sometimes.
No.
The tension, like tension headaches or the eye
Mhm.
strain just becomes like the checkout feels good,
Well, you mentioned that even when we're sleeping, we're doing something. Talk about that for just a minute.
right? I mean, we're processing, we're living that human condition, we're
Yeah.
dreaming, we're doing something like we're human beings doing sleeping,
Yeah.
doing rest.
So, Nixon, in order to practice this, and this is what we're encouraging everybody to schedule time in your day once, maybe twice a day. It doesn't have to be very long, but this means turning all the notifications on your phone off, closing your laptop screen, or walking away and staring out the window and letting everything go, zooming out quite literally from everything.
Yeah. And being right. And it does start like that, starting small with the 5-minute increment.
Yeah.
And then like the next step up could be like planning the vacation where you do nothing. Um, but yeah. I mean, when you were talking about going out, I had this, we may need to cut this part out. But the other day I did I'm in a coaching program, and we had done some like some breath work things, and some was really kind of interesting how while it was kind of a zoom out process,
Mhm.
it also was very, when you're doing breath work, you have to do it. Like it's not
Yeah.
like you don't actually want to breathe like a panting dog all the time, but when you do it for 45 minutes, it takes a lot of thinking. Um,
Yeah.
things come up, and I went outside afterwards and just kind of laid on the grass and did absolutely nothing
Mhm.
but just like it's kind of like staring at the clouds,
Yeah.
right? Or but not even with the intent of like trying to remember how we used to like look and try to find something in the clouds.
Mhm.
Not even doing that.
Yeah.
Zoning out, zooming out.
Mhm. And that had the extra benefit of connecting you to the earth.
And I that totally that was my intention, right? To be
Yes.
outside and
Grounded.
ground in the earth. And it was also very symbolic. Well, I'm gonna tell the whole dream. What came up in my breath work was, and I think it's neat that I can share this, because in the group I'm in, we all share. And if others hadn't been sharing, I'd be like, that is some weird shit. I actually was dancing. You know, I live out here in the cow pasture, and through the breath work saw was I was like me and all my grandmothers, and including my mother, were all about the age of 12, and we were dancing out here in this right here in the, I literally went to the spot where I had this,
Mhm.
and it was both a I'm getting emotional. You know, it was sad, and it was
Mhm.
beautiful, and it was releasing, and it was very connecting. And then when I ended, like we all laid down in the ground, and that's,
Mhm.
you know, there I was with all of my grandmothers, like this generational moment. And so, and that was my intent, to go out there and be and ground there. I felt very called to go. I was very fortunate that I had that I live in the place where I saw that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the restorative effects of this, they can't be downplayed. I mean, it's very obvious from your story what how that rejuvenated you in many ways.
it's it's priceless. And when, you know, when I think about coaching and coaching my clients throughout the day, and the brain power that it takes to listen and to
Mhm.
be on your A game and bring the questions and be dialed in and not absorb the energy, or at least have an outlet for releasing what you do absorb, that these breaks, as I'm thinking, have probably been coming as a result of just naturally seeking relief for myself, because I can,
Yeah,
because I live out here in a cow pasture and quiet, and it's just me 99% of the time.
yeah, yeah. So I would encourage you all to start small,
Mm.
like Judith said, 5 minutes once a day when you can just reconnect with something. Looking out the window at nature or whatever's out there is fine. If you can go walk barefoot in your backyard, even better because you can connect, get grounded. Um, but taking a minute to zoom out and give your brain a chance to rejuvenate itself.
Mhm.
It increases our creativity, which is very important. I could probably talk for 30 minutes on the importance of increasing our creativity in the society we live in today. But even if that's not your goal, just a chance to burn off some of the anxiety, some of the stress that we are creating for ourselves in our culture on a daily basis is priceless. You couldn't give yourself a better gift than that.
And I want to say too, like, trust also in the moments. If you're someone who does operate on a regular schedule and maybe you notice times throughout the day where you're your most productive, where you are dialed into yourself and things can get, you can accomplish them with great ease or greater ease,
Mhm.
that maybe there's a certain time of day and maybe that's the time you want to start intentionally, right? Intentionally planning, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And it's the intention behind the decision is what matters the most when
Yeah.
you, yes,
Yeah.
and seeing it as like a gift.
Absolutely. Yes. This is a little gift. This is a little self-care. I'm going to give to myself every day. We all have 5 minutes, folks. I'm sorry if you don't have 5 minutes, then you have too much going on,
Please,
right?
please listen to previous podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to previous podcast right now. All right.
Well, I am Judith Fender with the No BS Weight Loss Program. If you're looking for coaching, and you can find me on Instagram, just Judy, Judie.
All right. And you can find me at SonyaGreenCoaching.com or on Instagram at Sonya_Green and our Facebook page. We would love to hear, how are you zooming out? Are you already practicing this? If not, how are you going to incorporate it? And what are you going to do? Do you have a plan already? I'm
What
kind
are
of
you not
excited.
gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to have your phones, folks. You're not going to have your technology.
No.
Remember how we were when we were in 3rd grade, looking out that window. It's funny, but that's the window I look out in my mind, is the one in 3rd grade. I can
That's
still see out that window. All right.
checkouts are not a bad thing.
No, we'll see you next week.
Bye.